I was the girl that grew up in church. My mom started taking me when I was 2 years old, and we just kept going ever since. I knew how to dress the part. I knew all the lingo. I knew to do good things. I knew how to be moral. I was that good girl. I really loved the church. I loved the people there. I learned a lot from God's Word there. I learned a lot how to live a good life there. But something was missing. Something just wasn't right. When I got into my teenage years, I was very involved in our youth group for a while, but then things slowly started to change. It's like other things started to creep in and occupy their time in my life. I had a boyfriend, I had a car, I had a job, all those things that, give you freedom and you think are fun when you're a teenager and into your early college years. I got involved in other things that weren't right to do and got totally out of church. And I had friends that were doing all the same things, no real good influences. At this point in my life, I can't really explain what was happening. My grandfather died and we went to his viewing that night. When I had gone to bed after the viewing, I couldn't sleep the whole night. Got up the next morning and cried. God kept bringing the verse in James to my mind that talks about our life being a vapor. In other words, it's so short and we don't have that much time on this earth. My mom came in and she saw me crying and she knew enough about me, knew enough about God to know that He was doing something in my life at this point. After the funeral that morning, we had gone to my pastor's house to talk to him. We hadn't been to church in a while, but without even having to tell him what I was involved in and what was going on in my life, it's like he already knew, and he brought up all of those things that I had been involved in. At that point, I knew that I had to get back into church. I made some big decisions at that point, and it was all good and that's great, but again, it wasn't really about following Christ. It was about doing the right thing. Even though I was back in church and doing all these great things, like every time I had a decision to make, I would shy away from asking God because I would be afraid of the direction He would have me to take. So at this point, I decided to move to university and pursue a degree there. It was about a year into my time at the university that I decided I needed to find a church in the area that I was at. So I went to this little church and started going there faithfully, and ever since. I would serve there, I would help out there, I would do what I could there. But again, God was gracious and started moving in my life. He put me in contact with some great people there. I had some great friends. And one night, one of my girlfriends called me, and it was at this point that I had a true revelation and a true turning point in my life. My friend called me late at night one night and was so excited on her end of the phone. She began to explain to me that she had fully given her life over to Christ. I was listening intently when I didn't really understand at first. She kept going on about how she had served in her church and had done all these good things and knew her Bible, but yet didn't know Him, didn't know how to follow Him. It's like she was telling me my story. I told her I was excited, but when I hung up the phone, I had just had tears coming down my face, and again I started to wrestle with God. I knew I was in the same boat, and I knew that I had to give in. A few days later, that's exactly what I did. I gave in to Him. And it's about that. It's about giving in and letting go and letting God move in and rule your life. It's really, truly about following Him. The day that I did that, it was totally by His grace. I didn't know at that time what it was going to mean for my life. I just knew that I wanted Him. I knew that I wanted His direction. I don't not ask Him for what He wants in my life anymore because of fear, or that because I'm afraid, or because I might not want what He wants. I do it because no matter what, no matter if it's going to be hard, I know that I want what He wants now. I know that I want to follow Him. I don't want to sit at the sidelines and cheer Him on. I want to be with Him. My name is Shelly Ponder, and I'm not a fan.